This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen is not with me today, so I brought in John Riggle from Tri-City Transmission to help me help you with your car. At Bumper to Bumper Radio, we are helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. So if you got car questions, we've got car answers. So we encourage you to give us a call, and give us a call early at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. And for the shy types, you can text us at 411-923. And today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, we've got a little bit of fact or fiction, one that was kind of new to me, so we'll see how that goes. And, of course, open phones and texts. And then, my favorite topic. I didn't really want to work too hard on show planning today. so I had I went on a triple date last night, and there was a lot of drinking going on. So I was a little slow this morning. So we'll just talk about transmissions, John. What do you think?
Oh, that's easy, you know.
We can talk about transmissions all day long.
Yep.
And we can talk about anything you really want to talk about. But if it happens to be transmissions, well, today is transmission day. And the FAQs in transmissions, John, is this is how the phone rings every day at the shop. Hey, my transmission's bad on my Honda Odyssey. How much for a transmission? Well, why do you think it's bad? Well, because it doesn't go forward, it doesn't go backwards, and I Googled it online, and everything says Honda Odysseys have horrible transmissions. Yeah. Okay, well, bring it in. Let's check it out. Well, how much is it? I have no idea. Let's check it out. And we had one literally, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
What was wrong with it, John?
You had a bad ground wire connection, a bad battery cable, basically, where it attached to the body.
And the car wouldn't move. It wouldn't go forwards or backwards. So, as a consumer, that sometimes is the worst question you can ask a shop. How much is it for a transmission? Because if you don't need one, some shops will sell you one whether you need one or not.
Yeah.
They'll fix a transmission, and they'll go, oh, shoot.
Well,
it was just the
they'll
ground
give you
wire.
the battery cable, Yeah.
You may not get the battery cable phone call. They may just stick it in.
Yeah.
If they're really bold, they'll try and sell it to you later. But these cars are so complex in they're so integrated, the engine and the transmission, and there's so many computers in them, is that how many times do we fix cars with, literally that one right there, and that one already had an alternator, correct? Somebody had already replaced it, but they just didn't do a good job at it.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, they didn't understand the voltage drops. But the other trick about that one didn't have any codes stored in it. And that was the kind of clue for me.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this car should have some codes in it somewhere, and it doesn't. Well, that's because every time the connection was bad, every time the cooling fans came on, this connection would be bad, and it would erase the codes.
So it's a frequently asked question. The other frequently asked question that we get at the shop is about transmission service. Every day the phone rings. Hey, I think I want to get a transmission service on my car, but I hear all these woes. Like, if I service my transmission's going to go bad. Some people say do it. Some people say don't do it. My neighbor says yay. And some people say you're rolling the dice if you service your transmission. Yeah. John, what do you think?
I don't think servicing a transmission in and of itself is going to be an issue. Improperly servicing a transmission is a bigger issue than servicing the transmission, by itself. So in some instances, it's probably better off not doing it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So a bad transmission service is much worse than no transmission service at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have transmissions that are on the on the bench and we're rebuilding them, and we take the transmission pan off, and we see that, okay, whoever serviced a transmission last did not pull out the old O-ring on the filter, and they stuck the new filter up into the pump with a new O-ring on it, and so it's double O-ring. So there's a little bit of a hydraulic leak right there. Well, that didn't cause the transmission to go out overnight, but over the course of 5,000 or 10,000 miles, it did. And unfortunately, most people in the industry that aren't specifically transmission technicians don't know a whole lot about the transmission.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of experience with it, and a lot of guys won't read the instructions.
That never happens.
Yeah.
So we want to, and this is the phone call. Well, how much is your transmission service? Well, it could be between $200 and $300. Well, why so much? I can get it done at the car wash for $89.
Right.
Hold on a second. It's a very expensive investment if you have to buy a transmission. I worked at a car wash when I was in high school. Everybody starts somewhere. but I think I wrecked a couple cars.
Yeah.
You know, not because I meant to,
Right.
just because I was learning the rope. And so I would say, you know, getting an oil change in a car wash, maybe not such a big deal. But when you're talking about this is a, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Some of these transmissions, John, could be $5,000.
Yeah.
Am I going to give that to the guy at the car wash that really doesn't have a ton of experience?
Well, and the math doesn't work either. At $89, some of these fluids in some of these cars cost way more than that.
Yes.
You know, just for the fluid alone. You know, some of that stuff's $20 a quart, $25 a quart.
And that's the other thing that comes up is that to make that $89 price point, there is literally, we stock 32 different flavors of transmission fluid. And this is the little thing about John. He actually tastes them.
Yeah.
He's embarrassed as he can be, but he literally is like, that doesn't.
Fairly effective.
He goes, that doesn't taste like ATF plus 4 to me.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and it doesn't smell like it. And literally, we're looking at transmission fluid all day long. And so somebody services a transmission with the wrong fluid, in partly because there's vendors out there who would tell us, oh yeah, this fluid covers all these fluids and all these
universal
ranges.
Fluids, yeah.
You know, there's no such thing as universal fluid.
Absolutely not.
And so all those 32 flavors that we have on the shelf, we literally have sent those out to Lab 1 with Jason Cronlin and had him analyze them so we could see what the additive package was. I mean, you got to know how much boron's in there, right?
Yeah.
as compared to the next one, so that you can really see that they're different. And they literally did an infrared scan so we get kind of a fingerprint of what the oil looks like. Right. And they're all very different. There's a couple that are identical but different colors even.
Right, yeah.
So we have some Volkswagen fluids where one is brown and one is blue and one is green, and they're all identical under a microscope. They just use a different food coloring.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to this transmission business. What's another one, John, we had in our shop this week that didn't move, that where somebody called and asked for a transmission, and what did they need?
Oh, the Ford van with a broken flex plate.
Ford van with a broken flex plate. So there again, the phone rings. Hey, you know, hear about you guys on KTAR, and you guys do transmission work. How much for a transmission in my van? Well, what's wrong with your transmission? Well, I don't know. It just doesn't go forward or backwards. I just need to know the worst case.
Yeah.
And I you know, some of my lines are kind of cheesy. I'll say something like, well, the worst case is you buy a transmission you don't need. And that would be the worst case. In this case, all we had to do, the transmission had already been worked on in the past, and I think that's why the flex plate was actually broken.
Yeah, something odd happened there. Yeah.
So, I mean, we pulled the transmission out, check it out on the bench, and it was okay, and we just had to replace the flex plate. But that's a situation where someone's calling for something and asking for a price on something that is really they're putting the cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
And there is room for diagnostic, but I think we hate that uncomfortable feeling of, oh no, what is it? How bad is this going to be? If you can just give me the worst case, then I'll be happier, you know. And so they want that answer, and these things are complex.
Yeah. It's understandable though, but unfortunately, there's so many variables in it, and like my better half Cassie says, how much is a bag of groceries? You know, and that's kind of what we're up against with trying to price stuff over the phone and stuff. Really need to know a little bit about it. There's often some simple observations we can make that'll get us a lot closer than, you know.
Oh, yeah. And you did mention, we're talking before the show, John, because people want to know how bad is it going to be, what am I in for? And then the other thing is people call me up and say, hey, I want to know how much to put a window regulator in my car. And, hey, well, is your car at a shop? And inevitably I get, yes, it is at a shop. Okay. And I'll ask them, what are they telling you? Well, they're telling me $450, you know. And so to me, that wouldn't sound odd for a certain type of car. So there is tools online where people can actually go and see you can get a price range of what it takes to fix the car.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know. They tell me it's $500, but I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. But generally, shop to shop, they're going to be within 10% if we're talking apples to apples. If there's some dramatic difference, there could be a gouge situation that happens all the time.
And a lot of things. There's a lot of confusion over what people include in estimates. There's times. Okay, so we've got one of the Nissans in that has glycol in it. Well, now you have to either deal with a radiator or a cooler. So there can be some variations there. That's not just a transmission overhaul. Now you've also have to deal with the root source, which was how did the coolant get into the transmission. So now you've got an estimate that's different than just pricing out just a transmission for it. So you have to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
Well, and I think when it comes to that key, I think calling and asking, people ask for a price because they don't really know what else to ask. But if you're dealing with a good shop that's been around, long established, good reputation, didn't open up yesterday, chances are their pricing has been reasonable.
Yeah.
If they've been gouging people, well, they're probably not going to be in business that long.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the reputation's going to catch up with them. So hopefully that can relieve some of the anxiety. But going into it, it is uncomfortable to not know what you're going to possibly spend.
Sure.
You just want to know if you're going to be committed to something that you can't say no to.
Sure.
So I tell people, come on in. It's $78. We'll check it out. It's going to take us about a day to get you a good answer, and it's completely non-committal.
And
if you don't like what we have to say, our feelings aren't hurt.
We have plenty of cars. We get some of the high-end cars in there, the Rovers and things like that, where people don't, they don't realize that's a $7,500 transmission, and they don't have the money for that. So I've seen them, more than a few times get towed out, and they get towed back a year later when they get their tax return back or whatever.
Right.
So people need to know, and it's tough.
Right. And I've had people that say, well, come on, just give me the worst case. Well, I've heard those same symptoms for a bad ground connection.
Yeah.
But I've also heard those same symptoms for, hey, you need a $3,000 transmission. Yeah. So it could be $100 to find that little wire problem, or it could be $3,000, and it could be really anywhere in between.
How would you like to park your car for a year, save up $7,500, and find out it only needed a wire connection or a bad battery cable or something like that?
That's true. It's worth getting an accurate diagnosis so you can make a good decision if that car's set dusty. And I have seen that happen on many, many occasions.
Yeah.
So anyhow, today is Transmission Day at Bumper to Bumper Radio, but we can help you through anything you want to talk about. Looks like we've got Daryl, we've got a Dodge Ram coming through, and a couple other vehicles in open lines at 602-277-5827. You listen to Bumper Radio. Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus that carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate Batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and Bumper to Bumper Radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen from Virginia Auto Service is out, so I've got John Riggle, who works at Tri-City Transmission. He's my go-to guy for when I need to know something. He's the guy to go to. He's been doing this for 39 or 40 years or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So he's been down this road once or twice. So if you've got car questions, 602-277-5827. Today we have a bit of a transmission theme, but whatever you want to talk about, I'm certain we can help you with it. So give us a call. You can also text us at 411-923. And by the way, Kerry is in with us. Kerry Quinn, he's our producer of the show, and ever since Carrie started coming around, the music gets better after the breaks. It gets way better, because we had some pretty weak choices, and then he tasked Bree to bring on some good music. So thanks for that, Carrie. We are going to go with, looks like Daryl on a 97 Nissan Pickup. How can we help you, Daryl? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys, not a transmission problem, but I have a timing chain issue. These stupid things have the pressure, God, I can't even think of the name of it. It keeps the tensioner, the oil pressure tensioner.
Yeah, hydraulic tensioner.
So it's backing off, and so when I start it in the morning, the chain clanks around till the pressure builds up, and it tears up the plastic glides. So my issue is I've already had this replaced once, and it's doing it again. Is there some other repair that could take care of this issue, or am I going to keep running into this?
Something isn't right. How many miles has it been since it was replaced?
Since it was replaced, probably about 20,000.
Oh yeah, no, something's wrong there. Something. Yeah.
I was told that it was a oil filters that are cheap oil filters that allow the pressure to back off, and so I was buying expensive oil filters, and here I am with the same noise.
No. There's something wrong there. Yeah, that's one of those things. Unfortunately, there's just no way to diagnose that without actually pulling it apart and doing some forensics on it and seeing what's happening. But it should last much more than 20,000 miles. 100,000 miles, it would be about norm for one of them. So there's something going on there. Getting some Chinese parts in there, maybe.
Right.
Some offshore parts that just aren't as good as they should be or something.
And that's one of those things on these big repairs, John, the more you and I work together, the more we decide, hey, we just, every chance we get, we're really shopping for the best part for the car, because you don't like to spend the money the first time. You certainly don't like to spend the money the second time.
Yeah.
And doing a timing chain on a Nissan Pickup, that's.
There's no, especially with all the late model timing chains. All those timing chains there's so much stress placed on those chains, and the dynamics that they work under with the cams snapping back and forth as the springs load them. There's no room for shortcuts in that stuff, and.
For sure. Well, Daryl, if you need help with a good shop to look at doing that timing chain repair, but we want somebody. There's two things in auto repair. There's what broke, and then there's why it broke. And it sounds like we need to find out why this thing broke or it is going bad again, so that we don't do this round three. We certainly don't like it the first time. Second time is worse.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do it a third time. So thanks for the call. Looks like we're going to go with. Kind of cut off here. Looks like we've got a Buick. How can we help you? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, it's Amy. I have a 2004 Buick Regal and Grand Sport, and I have 116,000 miles on it, and it still looks terrific, but I'm having a problem with the transmission. How about that? When I start off from a stoplight, and this doesn't happen every time, but once in a while, probably if I'm driving around town, I would say, a lot of stop and go. It'll happen like 3 times in an errand trip, okay? It feels like somebody rear-ended me. From a stoplight.
When you leave a stoplight, so the light's red, you got your foot on the brake, the light turns green, you take your foot off the brake, you put it on the gas pedal. Do you feel that in the first 5 feet, or do you feel that 100 feet down the road?
No, immediately.
Immediately, okay. So that kind of puts me, could be a couple possible things going on. John, how many times do we do motor mounts or something like
that? That was exactly the first thing I was thinking of.
And that's why I asked the question like I asked. I mean, if it's happening in the first couple feet, you're getting the thuds and the clunks and we're talking about motor mounts. So there's going to be a motor mount up underneath the radiator, at the front of the transmission, the front of the engine, and the one back on the firewall. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you leave a stop is the tires are rotating forward. The engine is actually rotating backwards.
Yep.
So if there's a broken motor mount, it's actually picking up the engine and coming back down, and there's a clunk or a thud. And that's a common thing we get at the transmission shop is that people think, hey, I've got a transmission problem. And then again, it's really the reason we had to get into general repair, because so many of these issues that we get into our shop is like they think it's transmission when in fact it's just a general repair problem, and something we fix on a regular basis is motor mounts. So thanks so much for the call. Looks like we're going to sneak in an 05 Dodge Ram. Go ahead. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call, you guys. I got a question. I got a 2005 Dodge Ram, a 24-valve automatic four-wheel drive, about 181,000 miles on it. I've owned this truck since day one and maintain it real well. At about 115,000 miles, I had a little tranny issue where it seemed like it was fluctuating going down the road. My RPMs would build up and then drop back and build up and drop back. I took it in a local area here in Wickenburg and had it serviced and worked on, and they actually rebuilt some of the tranny. But what I'm having now is at 181,000, if it sits all night, I jump in it in the morning, put it in gear forward or reverse to go, and it's lethargic. It takes it just a little bit. Seems like once the tranny gets warmed up a little, it works fine, and that's within 30 seconds or so. But there's a real hesitation on it even wanting to move.
Yeah, that's not an uncommon problem on Dodges. There actually is there's a check ball in one of the transmission cooler lines. And what happens when the car sits overnight is all the fluid that's in that torque converter drains back into the transmission pan, and all the fluid that's up in that transmission cooler drains back into the transmission. That's why they installed a check valve in there. And in the cooler line, and some people will eliminate that when they go ahead and work on these transmissions. So hopefully somebody didn't eliminate that along the way. So that's a possibility. And then the other possibility exists is we're starting to get some pump bushing wear. That'll cause that, what I call, drain back issue in the transmission. So it doesn't necessarily mean the transmission's going bad. It's just some repair needs to happen. The way we would look at that at Tri-City Transmissions, we would see if there's a bleed back problem. Yeah. So we'd take a measurement on the stick of the transmission with the car off, and use a Sharpie or some sort of mark, and then the next morning we'd come back to it and see if it's come up 2 inches. Well, we know where our problem is because it's just having a bleed back issue, whether it's that check valve in that cooler line or if the transmission's been out before. So those, that transmission, that truck, they tend to be really good, and they get a bad rap because I think some people, repair them or rebuild them when they're really not bad. Yeah. So they get faulted. How many times do we go governor controls in that transmission?
Oh, all the time. There's things you can fix without overhauling the trans. Doesn't always need an overhaul.
Correct. So some people, if you've got a bad spark plug in your engine, you can replace the whole engine, but I'd just rather replace a spark plug if that's all it needs. So when we come back, we're taking more phone calls at 602-277-5827. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Hi, Lisa Henry with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty. Have you been thinking maybe the time is right to move, but you're not sure if you have enough equity in your home or if it really is a good time? Well, home values have increased significantly over the past few years, and interest rates are still historically low. For how long? No one knows. But for every 1% increase in the interest rate, the result is about a 10% loss in purchasing power. So it might be a really great time to sell your home and either upsize or downsize to a new home while the interest rates are still low. Contact me via my website at lisareneehenry.com or direct at 480-330-9530 for a no-obligation market valuation on your home and to hear about our global online marketing plan designed to sell your home quickly for top dollar. Again, that's lisareneehenry.com, 480-330-9530. Come experience the difference a truly customer-focused real estate agent can make.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Arizona's news station. KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
It's 11:30. I'm Tom Perumian. Here's our top story. March for Science rallies, a family affair. In Los Angeles, Jennifer Wheeler marching with her scientist husband and children. Rallies in more than 500 cities, including Phoenix, are taking place today.
I'm here with my daughters, and I'm here with them today because for me it's all about them.
President Donald Trump says he'll mark his 100th day in office with a big rally in Pennsylvania. Trump hits 100 days, that is, on April 29th. That's next Saturday. He tweeted about the rally this Saturday, saying that next week, quote, I'll be holding a big rally in Pennsylvania, so look forward to it. Croatian anti-fascists and Serb minority groups have been holding commemoration ceremonies at the site of a notorious World War II death camp, boycotting the official event over alleged government inaction to curb the surge of neo-Nazi sentiment in the Balkan country. And now for a check on traffic, here's Mike Daniels in the RMEGold.com Traffic Center.
Well, thanks, Tom. Got a crash 17 southbound at Bethany Home Road. Crash blocking the off-ramp. Cleanup crews underway right now. Traffic is backed up to Northern. Expect some major delays in that area. And 10 eastbound right before University Drive. Disabled semi blocking the center lane. This report brought to you by Carol Royce Realty. Need to sell your home? Carol Royce already has buyers and can sell faster and for more money. Visit carolhasthebuyers.com or call 480-776-5231. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
Checking weather across the valley. Clear skies, sunny, warm, a high of 95. Clear overnight with lows in the 60s. 97 the expected high tomorrow. It's 86 degrees in North Phoenix. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Tom Perumian on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Whether you're a lifelong dirt road driving, tackle box toting weekend warrior or an outdoor lifestyle rookie, from the desert to the mountains of our great state, Mike Russell has the outdoors in Arizona covered this afternoon at 1 with Get Outdoors. Only on KTAR News 92.3 FM and streaming live on the KTAR News app.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the requests became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE Master Technicians to work side by side with our Master Transmission Technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TriCityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
Don't waste all your precious time, gas, and money trying to cram a 3-day road trip into your Memorial Day weekend this year. Hi, this is Jerry Colangelo inviting you to join us as we celebrate the 6th annual Bunker to Bunker Memorial Day Stay and Play Tournament, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital at the historic Wigwam Resort. Swaying palm trees, poolside margaritas, and lush championship golf are just part of this incredible weekend. Grab your partner and sign up for our 2-person scramble on the world-renowned Gold Course on Saturday, May 27th. This event is loaded with special prizes, awards, and lunch, and it even includes a free coupon for a second round of golf, all for just $85. Better yet, bring your friends and family out and make it a memorable holiday weekend with room night specials starting at just $115 per night. Now that's a holiday value you won't find anywhere else. Space is limited, so register today. For details and registration, go to bunkergolf.com. That's bunkergolf.com.
Well, welcome back to Bumper to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Matt Allen from Virginia Auto Service is out, so I've got John Riggle, who is our lead diagnostician at Tri-City Transmission and who has been in the auto repair business for 40 years. And he's here to help me help you with the car. What the heck is Bumper to Bumper Radio? Bumper to Bumper Radio is a car show designed to help you better understand auto repair or vehicles in general. Maybe you're looking at a new car or thinking about selling a car, and you just need a place to go for answers. Well, the other thing that Bumper to Bumper Radio does is not only a show, but there's a network of auto repair shops. These are shops that Matt and I feel comfortable to send you to where you're going to be taken care of, where the owner's on site if there's an issue, and where people know how to treat you right and they got your best interest in mind, which is in their best interest. You know, for me, my best interest is to take care of you because you're going to be happy and come back.
Yep.
It's in my best interest to do it that way. And that's the way all the shops feel at Bumper to Bumper Radio. So if you're looking for a shop and you're what I call an orphan customer, in other words, you don't really have a home or a guy, you can find a guy at bumpertobumperradio.com, and it's bumper, T-O, bumperradio.com. Anyhow, we've got a lot of phone calls. We've got, looks like, John, Scott, and some of these phone names are getting cut off here on my computer screen. But we are going to go with the 1933 Ford, and I'm hoping, John, that you weren't working on cars yet.
Wait a minute. Yeah, don't go there. Not that old.
We're gonna. I'm sorry, your name got cut off, but I can see that you got a 1933 Ford. So how can we help you with your car?
Yes, I got a hot rod. It's got this is kind of a transmission-related question. It's got I got a leaky radiator. I got the radiator out of it, and I wondered if you could recommend somebody where I could take it.
Oh, radiator shops anymore. John, do you have a good recommendation on
a
radiator shop?
I don't. I have lost touch with all the radiator shops. That's a great question. I have no idea who's doing radiators anymore.
So is that the main thing? Because you said you might have a little bit of a transmission question.
Well, because the transmission fluid goes through the radiator. That was my connection.
Okay. Oh, I got you. Yeah, so it is, but either way, yeah, if you send an email to go to bumperradio.com, there's a contact. If you send an email, say, I called the show on Saturday, I need a radiator shop, and what's happened is radiator shops have gone away. In the old days, you would take a radiator out, you would do a rod and repair on it, and it had metal tanks on it, and now they're just plastic. And really, believe it or not, they last longer the way they're made, even though you think, oh, they got the cheap plastic tanks on there.
And with all the hot rods and stuff, the guys are doing the custom aluminum radiators and stuff. So I don't really know, who's doing radiators anymore. We just haven't done them in so many years.
I do have a guy, because every now and then we run into issues with radiators where we need to take one apart and do a little analysis of it. So, and I'm drawing a blank, so I don't have that answer. But if you send me that email, I will get you to the right guy, so you know where to get that taken care of. Because that's when it becomes an issue, when it's an older custom car and it still has a radiator that can be worked on. So, thanks for the call. We are going to go with Scott in Mesa. Looks like he's got a 1994 Ford Aerostar. How can we help you, Scott? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Oh, hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. This is a 94 Aerostar. It's got the XLT on it. It's a 4-liter engine, and it's the all-wheel drive. And the problem it's experiencing is that it doesn't want to shift from first gear to second gear unless you take your foot off the accelerator pedal.
Have you ever tried to shift it manually? The shifters usually they've got a D and you've got a 2 and then you've got a 1, and usually the D's got a circle around it because that should be an A4LD transmission. And so that would be what I would say would be a good step to kind of help you diagnose it, because sometimes if you're missing second gear, what will happen is you'll get going fast enough in first gear, and when you let your foot off the gas, it actually just goes right into third gear. So I wonder if that's what you're looking at there. But that is my recommendation to kind of try and hone into what's going on there. But I think A4LD, it's been a while since we worked on one.
Oh, that can also be an engine performance problem, too. When you run out of horsepower and you've got the throttle too far down, the thing won't upshift until you back off. So you can also wind up with an engine performance problem that kind of mimics that symptom there. So.
Yeah, that's why we talk. That's why we talk together at all these jobs, because you know what? There's two different technicians are going to have two different ways of looking at things. So yeah, I would try the manual shift thing, and that's the other thing that happens, John, is that we get these engines when they're running so bad, you can't really diagnose the transmission.
Yeah.
Because in order for the transmission to work right, you have to have an engine that's functioning right.
Exactly.
And so we're fixing engines all the time just to get the transmission to work, and it was never a transmission problem in the first place, but they think it is.
Sure.
So, and that's a common one, is these misfires on these Ford trucks.
Yeah.
How many times have we done that?
Yeah, misfires. And
I mean, it literally is. I feel like it's been hundreds of times where these people say, well, you know, when I'm going 45, 50 miles an hour, it seems like the transmission doesn't know what gear it wants to be in.
Exactly.
So the word I use for that is hunting.
Yeah.
And by 45, 50 miles an hour, the transmission is like cool as a cucumber. It's doing everything it should do. It's already through all four gears.
Shifting,
It's done doing the work, right? It's just along for the ride. But when the thing misfires, and it's kind of a lean misfire, and because at that point, the computer's backed out all the fuel because they're trying to make that thing as efficient as possible. And, you know, so that's when it's going to break down and the coils aren't going to work like they should.
And we also get the ones, we get them with the plugged exhaust. Every time we get the plugged exhaust, they don't upshift.
Right.
You know, you got your foot all the way in the gas and the things just don't upshift, but they don't accelerate either. And that's kind of the distinction you have to make. Does the thing actually run okay? I mean, can you take it and put your foot to the floor and get the car to move down the road? Does it accelerate? If it doesn't, you know, you got to address that first.
Right. So, yeah, we also do a lot of catalytic converter work because we see those things plug up from time to time. And the other thing where you're talking about it, John, is this reduced power mode. And these cars have a fail-safe. When something goes wrong electrically and the computer, it's going to fail-safe to pull all the power out of the engine. So it'll help you limp to the side of the road, but it's not going to drive you down the road. So when they go to reduced power mode, that's another thing where people think, hey, I got a transmission problem. I'm giving it full throttle and nothing is happening. Well, by design, there's no longer a cable that goes from that gas pedal out to the engine. It's just a signal. There's a little sensor. It's like the dimmer switch on your wall at home, you know, up and down. And so that's what the gas pedal's doing, and it's sending signal to the computer, and the computer's saying, hey, we don't like some of the math that's going on here, so we're just going to reduce power mode.
I was playing with that Volkswagen we had in there the other day and driving down the road. If you accelerate and step on the brake pedal at the same time, it shuts the throttle down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'll close the throttle on you, because it says, hey, you're trying to stop the car, but you know, we're still trying to accelerate here. It doesn't work that way.
I heard that's a good trick for tailgaters.
Oh.
You can still be on the gas, but you leave your brake lights on. See what happens? Now you're stuck on the side of the road for taunting the guy behind you.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyhow, thanks for the call, Scott. 602-277-5827. We're going to go with John in Litchfield. How can we help you, John? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, well, thank you for taking my call. I have a 2012 Buick, 75,000 miles on it, and I want to give it a full transmission flush before just some preventive maintenance. And I need a good transmission site on the west side. I'm about 45 miles west of you guys, so.
You know, I don't have a recommendation for. I mean, transmission service should definitely happen on the Buick. You know, it's one of those things where you do want to do it right. You do want a good transmission service. I don't necessarily just trust it to anyone, but I can think of for a good transmission service, I would send you over to Kurt. If my car hurts, take it to Kurt. You'll hear his advertisement from time to time. They're at I-17 Road in Bell. I-17 in Bell, and they can do a great job for you servicing the transmission. So there is competent auto repair shops that can do a transmission service for you. So you can find those at bumpertobumperradio.com. You know, I get afraid of people getting these transmissions serviced at the car wash.
Yeah.
You know, because of the size of the investment, and you're not catching people that are far along in their trade. They're early on in their trade.
Oh yeah.
You know, that type of thing. So I would definitely recommend servicing it. And people say, you know, how often should I service my transmission? And one of the things, John, the Toyotas surprise me. Because Toyota's a good brand, and I really am a fan of Toyota.
Yeah.
But they'll say service a transmission at 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we have Toyotas in our lot with bad transmissions at 80,000 miles. So what? It doesn't add up to me.
Yeah, the kind of when you talk about service and transmission and changing the fluid, after the fluid's gone bad, it's too late to change it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a preventative maintenance thing. That's why you want to do it before the fluid degrades. So, you know, what's that mileage? I don't know. It varies on the car, varies on the way they drive and stuff, but, you know.
And that's one of the things that I answer for people. You know, some vehicles have not enough transmission cooler in my mind, and the fluid oxidizes pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, be aggressive on that thing.
Sure.
Or Honda, they had their transmission woes right there for a number of years. So I tell people on Hondas, man, service a transmission every year.
Yeah.
So that could be every 15,000 miles, and it's not too much.
Yeah.
You know, But then some people, they want to go overboard. But I would say most vehicles every 30 to 50,000 miles, somewhere in that window. And if your service manual says 100,000 miles, throw it in the garbage. There's a lot of good information in that manual, but there's also some bad information in that manual. So, anyhow.
It's time for Fact or Fiction.
That was one of the first things I made up when we started this show.
Yeah, I like that.
So the fact or fiction for today, good thing I took notes because I would have forgot what we're talking about. So here's the statement. A dirty air filter will reduce gas mileage. And I've seen that on the side of the air filter boxes.
Yeah.
I've seen that statement.
Replace your air filter, get more gas mileage?
Yes. Fact or fiction, John? What do you think?
That's fiction. It doesn't work that way. Not on any late model car after about 1947 or so.
Yeah, so it sounds counterintuitive to me because I've been sold, since I was a kid. Check everybody's air filter when it comes in the shop. That's one of the main things that auto shops will do is check your air filter when you go in for service.
Everybody does it. Yeah, it's just real habit forming.
So why would it not take away gas mileage?
The way modern fuel systems work, they deliver the proper amount of air or fuel for the amount of air going through the engine. So we're actually measuring the airflow through the engine. So even if I restrict the airflow by restricting the air filter, the system still compensates, and it measures the amount of air flowing through that motor, and it'll deliver the proper amount of fuel for that amount of airflow. So we don't have a reduction in gas mileage. What we do have is reduction in performance or horsepower. At some point, that air filter can restrict it to where we wind up with a restriction in performance. But you'll only notice that wide open throttle on the floor usually. I mean, that filter has to be really plugged up.
I drive like that, so I always want a good air filter. Do you think the air filter? I mean, some people. I'm a big proponent of the 5,000 mile oil change. Do you think that air filter needs to be checked every 5,000 miles?
Absolutely not. You're probably doing more damage checking filters that often. Just the simple fact that when you open the housing, you start to knock dirt down into the housing. Some of these housings are hard to get apart and back together and get the filters sealed in there properly. Aftermarket filters, a lot of aftermarket filters don't have the same sealing material around the outside, and the stuff rots and cracks. You're better off leaving that filter in there for 30,000 miles unless you live in some extremely, nasty conditions. Leave it there, check it every 30,000 miles, but not every oil change. Like I say, I see so many of them with broken housings, everything's plastic now.
Well, if you do it every 5,000 miles for 100,000 miles of the vehicle, how many times has that cover been on and off? And it's got the little metal clips pop into place. That stuff is always broken up and all that stuff. So, maybe if you're the auto shop, it may be a thing to say, listen, I don't, maybe I just want to change my filter once a year, and you don't need to come out every time and show it to me.
Yeah.
But if you're doing, 15,000 miles a year, and John, you're saying, hey, you can probably leave that thing in there for 30,000 miles, kind of is extreme. It doesn't need to be checked all the time.
Yeah.
So anyhow, when we come back, we've got Mike, we've got Ann, and we've got Paul, and maybe time for a couple more at 602-277-5827. You're listening to Bumper to Bumper Radio.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, I hope you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon. Well, it's going to be afternoon here pretty soon.
Yeah, it is.
I'm taking this afternoon easy. It is getting a little bit warmer out, so it is a good time of year. It gets nasty in May.
Yeah,
I think that's when the heat really comes in, and it carries not, But we adapt. But that's the month where you got to acclimate to that hot air.
Yeah.
And it just start putting lotion in your skin because it just sucks the moisture right out of your skin. So anyway, I know you didn't listen to this show to talk about skin and heat, so we're going to talk about your cars.
Okay.
We're going to go with Mike on a 2009 Jeep Patriot. How can we help you, Mike? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. Hey, Mike, you with us? All right, we're going to come back to Mike. We're going to try Ann. She's got a 2001 Hyundai Sonata. How can we help you, Ann? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. It's 2011. I don't know if you said 1 or 11. Hyundai Sonata, and I'm close to my 100,000 miles on it. And I was just wondering, I haven't gotten the transmission flushed or checked like the service station keeps telling me to do. Because like you said at the beginning of the show, I was always told when you get your transmission flushed, it causes problems. So trying to decide if I really need to do that before the warranty's up and such. What is your suggestion on that?
I would say, this is my suggestion. At that point, 100,000 miles, in my mind, I think that transmission fluid is worn out.
Yep.
It's oxidized, the additive package. It's like a can of pop that's been sitting out on the counter. When you first crack it, it's crisp, but after it's flat, I mean, it really has lost its, a lot of lubricity to it. So it does need to be serviced, but it is kind of scary because, I left that stuff in there for 100,000 miles. Am I going to now have an issue? The thing is you got a better odds of having an issue not servicing it than go ahead and service it. Now, Hyundai's using SP3 fluid. Actually, 2011, I could be wrong on that. It may be a newer version of that fluid.
I think it's still the SP3.
SP3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sonata.
And that was the thing on the Hyundais is that they did the 100,000-mile transmission warranty, and they're going to want to see that it was serviced with SP3. They're actually going to want that terminology on the invoice. So that's going to be a crucial thing. So I would say, yes, service it. Make sure you're working with a shop that's competent enough to service your transmission. They have good experience with it, and they're doing it right. And if you're not sure if you have that, bumpertobumperradio.com is a good place to go. 100,000 miles, what are the things that are going to come up on that Hyundai for her?
The other question on that is, does the transmission seem to shift okay? If
Right.
it seems to shift okay, now's the time to service it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we do is we drive them before we service them.
If
because
it's not shifting right now,
If
now you want to think about it.
If a transmission's got a
Something's
problem
going
and
on.
you service it, you can kick it over the edge.
Right.
If it's already got a problem.
Right,
Like
if it's already got a
pre-existing.
problem.
If it doesn't, so we drive them ahead of time, we scan the computer, we make sure the transmission is in good shape long before we even start the process. And then when we're done servicing it, we drive it again to make sure it works just as good or better than it did beforehand.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I think a lot of people can, that happens all the time. That's the phone call at the shop every day. So thanks so much for the call. We're going to go with, looks like Paul in Gilbert. He's got a Ford Sport Track, and it looks like 2001. How can we help you, Paul? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, my cruise control buttons have cracked. I'm an original owner, 160,000 miles. So my son, for a birthday gift, decided to buy me new buttons and install it. Put the new buttons in with the old harness, and I'm getting a green light on the cruise control light on the dash. It blinks once, 5 seconds later it blinks again. We thought the harness was bad, so we put the new harness in instead. Still does it. Cruise control doesn't work. We checked every fuse that was in line, and we searched online and can't find what the blinking light means.
Any ideas, John?
I think the car's broken.
Everything worked beforehand. Just the buttons were the coverings were all cracked off.
Yeah.
And,
when you say you did the harness, did you do the clock spring assembly?
No.
I'll take that as a no.
The harness just loop behind the airbag.
Okay, yeah. Odds are the car actually has a clock spring assembly in the steering column. You have to have those wires have to be able to rotate back and forth inside that steering column as you turn the wheel. And odds are what you've got the most common failure on those with any kind of mileage at all is the clock spring assembly. That's you have to pull the steering wheel off, and it mounts right up at the top of the assembly, and more than likely that's what's wrong with it at this point.
And that's one of those things is that clock spring. I mean, it's designed, if you picture, a
clock spring, yeah.
It's designed to do that, but at the same time, how many times can you take a paperclip and bend it back and forth? Eventually it wears out. Yeah. And when cars start to get in the 150, 160,000 miles, we're starting to see things break that we wouldn't think about. So you may have an airbag light on too. I didn't ask that question, but it certainly affects the airbag, and there's some other things in that circuit.
And it can be one circuit or another too. A lot of times you'll see one circuit fail and not the other.
All right, cool. Thanks for the call, Paul. We are going to let's try Mike again on the Jeep Patriot. Go ahead, Mike. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, you bet. Go ahead.
Okay, I got a question. Last weekend I was towing my trailer up in my 2009 Jeep Patriot to have a 2.4, just a two-wheel drive, and I have a little pop-up trailer. And about halfway up the hill to Flagstaff, my transmission light came on. So then I pulled over the side of the road, and it did the limp mode because it got down to about 30 to 40 miles per hour. So I put off the side of the road. I was safe and everything. And then I waited for about 30 minutes, and then it went off. So I decided to stay in Flagstaff, and then when I came back down, nothing happened. The light never came on.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna cut you a little bit short here because we're running up against the clock. But these CVTs are really struggling when you put them in the hills.
Yeah.
They all overheat, and now you threw a trailer behind it.
Going to say CVT and trailer.
They do not go hand in hand.
Yeah,
so
not a good mix.
One of the things that you can do as a possible fix, a lot of people are adding transmission coolers to them to try and help out with that. So there may be some bulletins and some information about that. You can send us an email at bumpertobumperradio.com to help you through that. We see that more and more. Thanks, Kerry, for coming in and keeping us on point. We're glad everyone could join us. Thanks, Bree, for running the dials. And, John, we're talking before the show. Texting and driving.
Put the phone away.
Put the phone away, and I'm guilty.
Please.
So I'm guilty. It's just not a good thing. The car goes a long ways in the moments you look down, and bad things happen. So anyhow, remember, bumpertobumperradio.com if you're looking for a friendly, honest, competent shop. We'll see you next week.